The Brandon Peters Show may contain explicit language and detailed plot points. For more information on the show, stay tuned to the end of the episode. And now, here's Brandon.
It's that time of the week where we close with a song, rejoining to do so from the Saturday Evening Post. It's Troy Brownfield.
Greetings.
Teenage Dirtbag is where we're talking about today. Comes from the self-titled debut album from the band Wheatus. It was also the pinnacle soundtrack song to the 2000 Amy Heckerling film Losers, starring Jason Biggs and Mina Suvari. The song was absolutely huge in Australia, going 3 times platinum, the second best-selling single of that year for Australia. 5 million copies worldwide, and it did not chart in the U.S. on the Billboard Hot 100. It was number 7 on the alternative songs chart. The album contained the other singles of this album were A Little Respect and Wannabe Gangstar, and it peaked at the album peaked at number 76 on the Billboard 200.
Okay, so a little context here. That song was absolutely pervasive. The video got played a lot. You heard it on the radio all the time. But the key thing you said is the year 2000.
Yes.
Which is, of course, Napster year.
Yep. Indeed. And this was probably a good example of Total Request Live does not equate album sales.
Yep.
That became, and then MTV evolves over the next decade to, you know what, these music videos aren't selling people albums, and our ratings, our reality shows and stuff are getting Jackass, MTV Sphere. It's the start of, hey, we're making quality programming,
and now it's 12 hours of ridiculousness.
Yes. You might be asking why in a panic week we are doing this one, but let me tell you what singer guitarist Brendan B. Brown tells about the song. Quote unquote, it came from the summer of 1984 on Long Island when I was 10 years old. That summer in the woods behind my house, there was a satanic drug-induced ritual teen homicide that went down, and the kid who did it was called Ricky Casso, and he was arrested wearing an AC/DC t-shirt. That made all the papers and the television, obviously. And here I was, 10 years old, walking around with a case full of AC/DC and Iron Maiden and Metallica songs, and all the parents and teachers and the cops thought I was some kind of Satan worshiper. So that's the backdrop for this song. So voila, Teenage Dirtbag fits the products of the panic. This was a requested song video to do for this show, and I was like, I don't know how I got and then I took 2 seconds, I looked it up, and I was like, oh, well, you know what? It actually fits an ongoing series. Wheatus, Teenage Dirtbag. Troy, familiar with the song?
Not only am I familiar with the song, but I actually saw Wheatus live in 2000, October 2000, at the Vogue in Indianapolis. They're in a package tour with Harvey Danger and SR-71.
That is like the perfect lineup for that. Like,
yes.
Flagpole Center, Teenage. Yeah.
SR-71 was the headliner. Harvey Danger was in the middle, and Wheatus opened. Of special note, he's not in the band now. The only member of the band that's still in it now is Brendan Brown. Like everybody else is kind of rotated out, like many of those bands. But Phil Jimenez, who was the percussionist, not the straight up kit drummer, but the percussionist and keyboard player and whatnot. You see him in the video. That guy was a dynamo live. He played all kinds of stuff. He was constantly moving, dancing, like percussion, everything. That guy he elevated the whole stage presence. And I remember Wheatus being a very good live band in part because that guy was just incredible. You always have like a feature member of a band aside from the lead singer. Frequently it's the guitar player or whatnot, but this guy was, super entertaining. So I like those little snatches of him in the video where if you just kind of look where he's off to the side, he's still doing crazy shit.
I'm gonna have to watch that again. Oh,
dancing, and the Little Respect video kind of showcases him a little bit more.
Did you ever see Gravity Kills live?
I did not.
Oh, their keyboardist was on another level. Like he had this, like two of them, like a stand, and they like spun, and like it was pretty cool.
Oh, that's awesome. Yeah, so I have a great memory of the song, and throughout introducing my kids to songs of the 90s and stuff like that. You know, this was certainly a song that I played, partially because they were familiar with Iron Maiden.
Yeah. This was a weird, when it came out, this song was in a like world unto itself. Like there was nobody that sounded like Wheatus. I think the closest thing at the time, there was that cover of the NWA song by that one band that was
Boys in the Hood.
Boys in the Hood. Yeah. That was about the closest thing I could say to that, but they're two different things. And I took to it like right away. I never saw the movie Loser. I can't remember if I did. Well, I think I might have, but I don't remember it enough to.
Yeah, I did, and I have barely any memory of the movie at all.
I have to revisit that down the road on the show.
I just remember Biggs being a sad sack.
Yeah. It was like, we got two of the American Pie kids in a movie. Here you go.
Yeah, exactly. It was almost like the follow-up, right? I mean,
you're right, yeah. It was
Pie
like
99.
They were supposed to be the next breakfast, or Rat Pack was the American Pie group that was like, oh, they're all gonna bust out. Biggs got used a lot. Klein was supposed to be this big deal out of it. And the funny thing is the established one, the Rookie of the Year kid, that was like the end for him. But the rest
coming back.
Yeah, Suvari, she had American Beauty too around that same year. And she was breaking out pretty big. But yeah, this was one where there's two of them from it, and this is before American Pie 2, so this is in between. 99-01, I believe, is when, or no, was it? Yeah, or was it 02? No, it was 01. American Pie 2 came out. But yeah, it's Amy Heckerling who did Clueless and Fast Times. Like,
yeah,
I can't remember. I don't know why I can't remember not seeing this movie, but yeah.
Well, from what I remember, it's not very good. I just don't remember much of it.
I remember Biggs in the hat, like that's
and
that Mina Suvari was in it because it was like, oh, now he's in a movie going for her instead of Allison Hannigan or Shannon Elizabeth. So
right,
he just needed a movie with him and Tara Reid as a couple. Then he was
Sharknado 9. Jason Biggs most recently was on the a Law & Order backdoor pilot episode for a show that did not get picked up this past year. They so they have SVU and organized crime right now. There was going to be a show that was Law & Order Hate Crimes.
Oh, I did hear about that. Yeah, okay.
And Donald Lowe was going to be the lead with Jason Biggs and some other characters, and they did a whole episode of SVU with the hate crimes guys, but NBC didn't want to pick it up, probably because they thought it was probably like a hot potato or whatever. So Dick Grove was like, fuck it, we'll bring back regular Law & Order. And that's like why they did the regular Law & Order. If hate crimes hadn't happened, they wouldn't have done that.
Right.
But it's a very weird thing. But yeah, Biggs and even if you didn't have the film, Biggs and Suvari are perfect for the video, because the video is an original thing that ties into the movie a little bit, but it's its own entity.
Yeah, he looks like he does in the movie. She does. They're probably using sets from the movie, but this is shot as its own thing. She plays his love interest in it, and he's sleeping on some stairs at the beginning. Just kind of yearns for her around school. She seems to have like a boyfriend or something, but then they go to prom. And she's got 2 tickets to Iron Maiden, baby. And invites him to go to Iron Maiden. Then things are good with them, and he wakes up. Oh, poor Jason Biggs.
Yeah. And I think one of the probably the most notable thing that a lot of people who hear it once or twice and kind of have a vague memory of it, they probably remember they frequently excise or backmask over lines. her boyfriend's a dick. He brings a gun to school.
Right.
And he'd simply kick my ass if he knew the truth, which ass gets blanked. And
yep.
Gun
gets blanked. This is another thing. Columbine got the gun because the song was written before Columbine happened. And when it finally hit radio and stuff, that was off. And Gun still gets taken out of, like, I remember MIA's song, Paper Planes. That ching, ching, all that stuff got taken out, the violent stuff, and a lot of rap songs. Gun and stuff. Oh,
but Janie's Got a Gun is fine.
No, that never got censored. Fuel's song, Jesus or a Gun, was on the radio. It was Jesus or a...
Yeah.
And nothing. They didn't even put a word or anything, but it said, like, they changed it to her boyfriend's a prick for the radio, and then he brings that to school. Yeah.
Well, that shot in the video, like, Brown rolls his eyes over it reminds me of when the Stones played Sullivan and they changed "Let's Spend the Night Together" to "Let's Spend Some Time Together," and you've got that close up of Mick where he just kind of goes, where he's like, I know this is bullshit, and I feel like Brown might have been kind of like signaling that.
Speaking of, I do like their attire in this is so
2000.
Was it All American? Who's the You Got the Music?
New Radicals.
New Radicals. Hat. It was like, hey, we've got their clothes left over from this music video. You want to wear them? Like, okay. Like, it feels like, the New Radicals.
Like a merging of that, like some ska stuff. You got some bowling shirts going on, and bowling for soup. They're all dressed kind of like the same way. It's
right.
Period.
That hat that just, I think Fred Durst wore those too. Videos. It's directed by Jeff Gordon, not the race car driver. His only other credit is the Wheatus video for "Wanna Be Gangster." And there is, so when he's going down the stairs at school, there's a sign in the background, and it says, like, Jeff Gordon and I can't see what else it says. So I'm like, there's his cameo right there. Cause I was like, does that say Jeff Gordon, the director Jeff Gordon of the Wheatus Teenage Dirtbag music video, Jeff Gordon? So I was like, okay, clever. He's got his own name in there. But it's a decent little video. The song itself really does feel like the ultimate, like, nerd dweeb, like, anthem power ballad. Like, it's perfect. Like, and it's like sound, everything. I know probably of its era, but
but it has that very late 90s 2000-ish guitar crunch.
It's like
the chorus.
It's almost like the bridge song between, like, Alternative Nation and emo, which was about to hit. It's happier than emo, but
but it's got that vibe though. It's the verse structure is almost folky in a way. Kind of like very much it's like the two sides of alternative rock, because you always had, like, the sort of arena side of alternative rock from the 90s. You like your Pearl Jam side, and but then you also had your smaller acts, or a lot of rootsy acts, like Rusted Roots or Sister Hazel or whatever. So you have, like, a little bit of that with the guitar kind of sound, and the egg shaker and things, and the guitar drop.
Yes. Oh yeah. There's always a lyric that sounds weird to me in this. He drives in Iraq. Like, I think it's supposed to be wreck, but it's trying to rhyme with the previous line. It's always stuck out to me. It's like, okay, fine.
Do you remember the IROC?
The IROC, the car? Or?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, see, this is, I feel like
there's like a car crash noise in the track. So I always thought I was talking about a crash in the car.
No, like, it's a Trans Am like vehicle, the IROC.
So he drives on IROC. I thought that was
IROC. Yeah.
Okay.
Like I-ROC, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Because I always heard the car crash noise, and I assumed it was talking about, it was his clever way of trying to rhyme the word wreck. But okay.
Oh, IROC Z was yeah. The Camaro that thinks it's a Corvette. The IROC OG Camaro was first introduced in 1984.
All right. Hey, that would have been his time. He was thinking about this song, getting picked on in 10 years old.
Yeah, Chevy Camaro IROC Z.
Gotcha.
That ran from 85 to 90. So
interesting. I got that the movie Loser was called out via a marquee while he's eating lunch. And while this had no success like in America, which seems just so weird, it was nominated for Best Video at the Kerrang! With an exclamation point awards, which is a British magazine, because people liked it there. People liked it in Germany. People liked it all over the world, except the country that they spawned from and the movie's from. Like, it's bizarre.
Yeah, it's kind of a hard one to figure. Apart from, like, 2000 was a really packed kind of music year, and a lot of stuff was in transition.
Mm-hmm.
The new metal stuff was still going on, but you'd had Woodstock 99 already, which kind of blew up in faces of like Limp Bizkit and Korn by association. And there's a really big hip hop ascendancy with DMX. And, you know, it's one of those years, 2000 is very much one of those years people are trying to figure out what the next thing is.
Right. It was the Alternative Nation was on its eclipse there. Like, and it'd be going to like emo stuff and, I don't know where rock was. Rock in the OOs was an interesting time.
Yeah, like what is it, 02, 03 that you start to get like the Strokes and the Killers and
that's right. Yeah.
Like new turns on. There's a lot of good music from that.
There is.
It's just look at it.
Yeah.
Just, you know, there wasn't certainly the day-to-day documentation of it that there was with MTV in the 90s. I mean, you knew kind of to a certain, you see the meme go around a lot that like these albums all came out within 40 days of each other in 1991, which is like Guns N' Roses' Use Your Illusion 1 and 2, Metallica's Black Album, Nevermind, Pearl Jam's 10, Blood Sugar Sex Magic by the Chili Peppers. Like those albums really did come out in 1 month.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
several of them on the same day, September 24th.
Yeah, because like Pearl Jam and Chili Peppers, the expectation wasn't to like be number one. It was like hopefully we would make a return on investment here. So it's not. It didn't have the stakes we would have thought that legendary album had now. Like it's the Guns N' Roses, 100%. That thing needed to hit number one and sell, like break records and stuff. But the Red Hot Chili Peppers Pearl Jam, well, hope they do well.
Geffen thought that Nevermind was going to sell 50,000 copies.
Yeah.
That was that. They thought that would be a good job, guys. we moved 50,000. And then
you changed the world.
Yeah. As Grohl says, at one point they were selling 300,000 a week.
Jeez.
Worldwide. They were getting these statements back that were like, what the hell? And Cobain said, I think it was in the Rolling Stone interview, he went to get $10 out of the ATM and he had 150,000 in the bank. And it was just mind-boggling that they couldn't rationalize that shit was actually going on. It was, he's like, I got to get $10 out of the ATM to get a sandwich, and I've got 6 figures in the bank. He's like,
right.
So by this point, by 2000, you've got Napster, you've got like this incredible accessibility to all this music, but that it literally does kill everything.
Yeah. No, the Napster changed everything, and like now, like it feels like it leads it to like Spotify's and stuff, where music catalogs are just worthless almost. It seems like it's the money in them, what people are making, what they cost, and having like, what would you like to listen to? Well, what is there? Everything.
Yeah, there's a big thing going on right now of long-term artists kind of cashing out, where they're selling the publishing rights and the recording rights. Dylan recently did it because it's
Springsteen did it too.
Yeah. Like, Dylan just completed the second half, but there's like the material rights and there's the publishing rights, so that there's two kind of separate things. but Springsteen and Dylan alone, like their packages together are like $1.5 billion of worth. Like I think one of Dylan's deals is $500 million. And it's like these older guys are just kind of like, they know they're not going to be touring anymore soon.
Mm-hmm.
You know, Springsteen maybe has one more big one in him. I mean, he's in his 70s. Dylan's older than Springsteen. They've got kids, grandkids, whatnot. They're going to cash out and, you know, maybe make some records where they're sitting in a chair. Or that Rick Rubin's
their performances are good. I mean, they're not going to be huge tours. They're going to be small amphitheater. In a chair playing like that.
Yeah, that's where they've always made like all the bank. So it's like they're going to sell this stuff out. And, you know, I could probably name like the next 5 guys if I really thought about it. It's going to be like Crosby, Stills and Nash. Joni Mitchell's doing it. You know, they're all gonna go. And so that's going to be like, you know, in a way, it's going to be the last time a lot of these people make the big money.
Yeah.
And fuck knows so anybody's going to make music after this or make money off of music after.
Right. Yeah.
Like there's a very few people who are actually making money off of it. And, you know, like you either become a spectacle driven touring band like a Ghost, or you become like you reinvent yourself as like the new Carole King, like Taylor Swift, or
you jump on the festivals and just keep playing festivals.
Yeah. Or, you know, really when you think like Foo Fighters are probably the #1 American band in terms of concert draw, and they are literally 25 years old. They're already in the Rock and Roll Hall.
Right. Yeah. It's insane.
So it's like, who knows? And I think that this is like a really great snapshot of one transition time.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're looking at it in another transition time, you know, 22 years later. This is so what's going on. But to kind of pull back, I feel like we got to talk about the Ricky Casso thing, because if Teenage Dirtbag is about the Ricky Casso case, holy shit. Now, gentle viewers, perhaps you want to Google Ricky and then last name Kasso, because I guarantee you've seen the booking photo, not the mugshot, but the perp walk photo, because that picture shows up in any documentary about Satanic Panic and shit.
Mm-hmm.
Ricky Casso was the guy with long hair, the wild eyes, the AC/DC t-shirt, and the cops holding his arms back behind him. That's this guy.
Yeah.
He's not a guy that
the
got
Acid King.
Yeah. He's not a guy that got arrested at a concert. He's a guy that got arrested for taking part in a LSD and PCP driven murder. That, I'm sorry, I don't mean to be laughing about the murder part, but it's the situation is so extreme and so crazy and so ridiculous that you're just like, holy shit.
Yeah.
And the fact that like Brendan Brown was 10 years old living in this house, and this stuff was going on in the woods behind his house.
Yeah, just down the road. Yeah, just behind the house, out back.
Yeah.
We heard something, but
yeah, Casso, he was known for doing drugs, getting kicked out of his home. This goes back to the disaffected youth thing, Brandon. His dad was a high school history teacher and a football coach.
Yep. There you go. Those are the ones.
He was back in and out of his house. And he frequently would like sleep in the woods, but he was also into, and I love this, this story. He often took drugs, mainly marijuana, hashish, LSD, PCP, and purple microdots that he believed to be mescaline, but were most likely low-grade LSD. That was mainly, which leaves, you know, all kinds of cat tranquilizers and shit in the in the mix. Who knows?
But, mainly list.
But and he was acquainted with the members of a loosely organized group of friends who sold weed and referred to themselves as the Knights of the Black Circle, which, you know, is the most badass name of weed sellers.
Yeah. Where'd you get this? The Knights of the Black, the Knights of the Black Circle.
We need some weed for this weekend. Who should we got? The Knights of the Black Circle.
They're probably cooler name than any of the local bands in town.
Yeah. So, but this dude, right? Here's another quote from this story. Casso allegedly participated in occult ceremonies, mostly in Northport. It celebrated Walpurgisnacht, April 30th. Faust, look it up. At the infamous Amityville Horror House in 1984. He also expressed to his friends his interest in Anton LaVey's Satanic Bible on at least one occasion. His parents admitted him to the South Oak Psychiatric Hospital, formerly known as the Amityville Asylum in Amityville, New York, for drug rehab and psychiatric care.
The legend continues.
If you're going to put your satanic leaning child into drug rehab, do not do it in Amityville. It's like the Amityville Asylum on Elm Street. This is a bad call,
Field trip to Crystal Lake.
So the dude also, he was busted for digging up graves in a cemetery. But then shortly before the murder, he had pneumonia. He was in Long Island Jewish Hospital. But his parents, this is a twist. This is like one of the dudes that was actually into the real shit. And his parents tried to get him held over for psychiatric care. They didn't think that he should leave the hospital. They took him there because he was sick. But they're like,
oh, okay. They what?
They're like, you need to keep him. Because he's like, yeah, he's got pneumonia. But the conclusion of the psychiatrist was that Casso was showing antisocial behavior, but was neither psychotic nor a violent danger. And so after he got over his pneumonia, they put him out. So he's got this guy who's a friend, but there's Gary Lars, and he and Lars had a ongoing beef because Casso fell asleep at a party and Lowers stole like 10 bags of PCP from him.
Oh.
And so he had like either returned or he did return half the bags, but they promised to repay him for the other bags. But I guess this beef kind of kept going on. So Casso and a couple other friends, they invited this cat out to, go to the woods and do drugs. And then it turned into, like the guy's beating the shit out of him, and then Casso ended up stabbing him to death. Between 17 and 36 times, including his eyes. During the attack, Casso allegedly commanded Lowers to, quote, say you love Satan. And Lowers is instead reported to have said, I love my mother, before finally giving in to Casso's demands. Then, this is even more fucked up. They leave the body out. They kind of like cover it up, but they just leave it outside. They make no attempt to bury it. Casso tells other people he's killed this guy. It takes other kids back and shows them the body.
You guys want to see a body that I killed?
Yeah.
Whoa.
And so it's several more days after that somebody finally calls the cops and gives an anonymous tip.
Oh, anonymous tip. Oh god.
Yeah. And so so he I don't know if he gets wind of it or whatever, but he tries to like bury it, and they end up, finding the body and everything. And so he is arrested, and just a few days later, he commits suicide by hanging himself in his jail cell. And so the other two guys go to trial, and they're like, there's some up and down, but they end up getting, the one guy ends up getting acquitted. So that they, part of it was like, to what extent was the other guy involved and everything. And one of the guys said, well, this guy, held him down while he was stabbing him. The other guy's like, the fuck I did. And since, the one guy's dead, Casso killed himself, and everybody like agrees, like Casso stabbed this guy like 36 times. He ends up kind of, getting off.
Yeah.
Fading into, kind of obscurity. But the Casso thing, they called him like everybody had a nickname, right? Back then. So it was like the Ass King.
Yeah. Knights of the Black Circle. I wish that would have taken off with drug dealers across America. Like, we need a cool name. Like, who's your drug dealer? Sam, he lives down the hall. Like, I get from the Knights of the Black Circle.
So this goes back to the thing I said in our 60 Minutes D&D episode, that for every 40 guys that the media alleges had some satanic thing going on. This guy actually kind of did.
Yeah.
But it seems like, again, overwhelming drug and psychiatric problems.
Right. Yeah.
That stuff's always going to find a manifestation in some way. And, you start to
unlocking the deep corners of the mind. Yeah. 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 Like, yeah, paranoia can do crazy things once you're high up. Like I had a friend in high school or whatever. Like he got like into drugs. And he kept like thinking like gangs were after him, and there was like construction tape on some telephone pole because the park by his house because they were doing construction, but he swore up and down it was some gang marking his territory because they wanted him taken out. And like it's just the paranoia of like drug. It's like, dude, it is fucking construction. Like there's another tape down there. Like, but you couldn't tell him otherwise.
Not sequitur, but it's a great story, but it goes with the gangs marking their territory.
Yeah.
We going to Chicago Comic-Con a few years ago with my friend David Pepos, comic writer David Pepos of Spencer and Locke. Check him out.
Boom.
And we're meeting up with our friend Jamie Trecker, who lived on the south side. We're going to park at his house because it's cool if you have a house you can park at in Chicago because parking's outrageous. But there are neighborhoods where you have marked parking. You can park in front of the house if you have the tag, So Jamie runs out with the tag and everything, and David's like, "Is the car going to be okay?" And Jamie's like, "Oh yeah, the local gang already saw you guys. They know you're with me, so it's all cool." And David's like, "Local gang?" I'm like, "Guys playing basketball across the street." And David's like, "Those guys are a gang?" I'm like, "You grew up in St. Louis." Like, but yeah, the gangs got their thing, but like, man, I love this Knights of the Black Circle thing.
It's so good.
Horrible story, but holy shit. But yeah,
can they make shirts for Knights of the Black? Like, I would buy a Knights of the Black Circle shirt. Like, prices on the back,
That, but yeah, man, what a weird story that like Teenage Dirtbag of all songs comes out.
It's the origin story of Teenage Dirtbag. Like, it's so crazy.
But yeah, in a sad way, like Brendan Brown's experience is reflective of so many other kids.
Yeah.
That all this shit's going on, and it's like, oh, I've got Iron Maiden in my tape case. I got to keep my head down.
Right.
Because they're gonna threaten me like they did Brandon.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like
insane.
They're gonna come for me. But yeah, it's like obviously musicians got a lot of it from, they're held up to larger scrutiny,
right,
for drugs and iconography and everything.
Worshipping Satan.
Yeah.
I mean, Whitney Houston wasn't even safe, as we found out last time. Like, so.
Yeah. Well, and it's funny too because some bands evolve a certain way, like Judas Priest. If you look at the early Priest stuff when they were on British TV, like Old Grey Whistle Test, everything, they were hippies. Like Halford had really long blonde hair, and they had like the Robert Plant flowy shirts.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and then because Rob Halford was a gay man who frequented like leather bars and stuff, he started wearing like the studded outfits, and the rest of the band is like, "This is pretty cool. Let's wear that." Rob was like, and so all of a sudden they're like in black leather, Judas Priest, living after midnight.
Right.
And it's then like all of a sudden people think that they're like a devil band.
Right.
Like,
yeah.
what happened? Like, I'm gay. I'm not. Like what are you doing?
I'm gay. These are my posing. This is my poser backup band here. Like, what?
Yeah, like they're getting sued for causing suicides. And they're like, all we did was put on leather. It's just.
Oh, yeah, leather and breaking the law. Teenage Dirtbag though recently had like an out of nowhere resurgence a couple years ago on social media when they did an acoustic rendition for Paste magazine. They did. There's a thing NPR does, the Tiny Desk concert. This is kind of like that, and he did a performance of it. It's really nice performance, but I remember that trended pretty hard for a bit and got articles written about it, but it did have a little bit in 2019, I believe that was. So
yeah. If you're not familiar with the song, I definitely encourage people to check it out. It is a fine tune, and it is fun.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, it plays around, doesn't take itself too seriously. Like it's a storytelling. It's eventful. It's like characters dialogue and stuff, like in voices. It's fun. It's a really fun song.
Yeah, you should also listen to it in Flagpole Sitta back to back to get the vibe of seeing them in concert together.
There you go. Yes. Flagpole Sitta, that'll come someday here. That was from the Disturbing Behavior soundtrack, which that just featured clips from the movie, nothing shot for it.
Yes.
Katie Holmes.
Oh, and the SR-71 big song at the time was Right Now. The song Right Now. Not to be confused with Van Halen's Right Now.
Yeah. Right Now. Which had a legendary music video and then was used for Crystal Clear Pepsi.
What a sad association.
Yes. But that is for a future trip down the music lane. And that'll wrap up this week on the show. Troy, your presence is always beloved here from above and below. So where can people find your stuff, keep up with you over this weekend?
As above, so below. I am a staff writer for the Saturday Evening Post, so SaturdayEveningPost.com. This week I'm actually working on a thing that goes well with Satanic Panic. I'm working on some stories about the most frequently banned books.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
So by the time this episode airs, you ought to be able to find that article, among other things. And you can find me on Twitter at Troy Brownfield.
All right. And I'm on Twitter and Instagram at Brandon Forkey, UHD, written work at WhySoBlue.com. The Brandon Peters Show returns all new next week with my first ever Star Wars related episode, something that doesn't create debate or controversy, unlike the panic stuff. So until then, stay film positive.
Thank you for listening. The Brandon Peters Show is a Creative Zombie Studios production. Produced by Brad Shoemaker and Brandon Peters. Written and edited by Brandon Peters. Announcer vocals by Jessica Alsman. Theme song by Metavari. Web design and show art by Brad Shoemaker with Brandon Peters. All music and clips featured in the episode are property of their respective studios and no infringement is intended. Additional information on this and other episodes at BrandonPetersShow.com. For any inquiries, press opportunities, or sponsorship, contact mail at BrandonPetersShow.com. The show is available on Apple Music, Spotify, or anywhere podcasts are found.